Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. My name is Joost Pauwelijn, and if this PowerPoint is working, I will be using a few slides. I have been in the business of WTO trade law for 17 years now. First as a lawyer working for the WTO Secretariat, and now as a law professor and legal practitioner here in Geneva and in the United States. And I think the legal system of the WTO is working well, but we can do better. I'm here to talk about how also lawyers can innovate. I'm here to talk about how legal innovation can broaden access to legal expertise, essentially to sustain, create economic growth. I'm here to talk about TradeLab. It was already introduced. And if you think of the WTO, trade and law, I think there's three major bottlenecks that have emerged at the moment. The first bottleneck is that businesses, but also NGOs, consumer organizations, remain unaware of the legal protection they can get under trade and investment treaties. The second bottleneck is that governments continue to think of WTO legal action as something of a nuclear option. And the third bottleneck that I see, and it goes back to my role as a professor, is that I have trained hundreds, thousands of law students, and they are highly enthusiastic about trade and investment law, but there's only a handful of big law firms who do this. So it's very difficult for them to find employment. So if you think of it, the supply and demand for legal expertise in this field do not meet. For lack of awareness, for lack of access to information, for lack of training, or because the cost of legal expertise is too high. You know that WTO treaties, jurisprudence is becoming more complicated over time. So the issue becomes more acute over time as well. As we heard from some of the questions earlier in this panel, I think we have to make trade and investment treaties work for everyone. And I'm thinking of government officials in developing countries. I'm thinking of non-specialized law firms in developing countries. I'm thinking of businesses, SMEs, NGOs all over the world who need access to that legal expertise. You may know that there's something called the Advisory Center on WTO law. Thank God, they're doing fantastic work. But they can only advise governments. They cannot advise businesses or NGOs. And they can only talk about WTO law, not about the hundreds of free trade agreements we now have, or the thousands of investment treaties that are out there. Now, we lawyers are not very well known as big innovators. Think of the wigs and the gowns we wear, and yes, I'm guilty myself, the pinstripe suits. But I spent my sabbatical last year at Stanford University, and in Silicon Valley, one of the hot topics at the moment is legal innovation, is legal startups. And if you think of it, digital innovation is changing the way businesses, industries operate. So why should it be that the legal industry is an exception? Also in law, one can innovate. Now, with TradeLab, we are trying to use internet technologies and legal crowdsourcing to make legal expertise available to also smaller stakeholders. We are empowering people through training by doing. We are trying to make legal expertise more accessible, more transparent. Here is what we've done so far. Anyone, it could be a business, it could be an NGO, could be a consumer organization, can go online and post a legal information question anonymously, totally free of charge. And we have assembled, and the group is growing every day, about 50 legal experts who have agreed to provide answers to these questions for free. And this is working already at the moment. Now, we want to go further. There's more to innovate, there's more to think of. And for more substantial legal projects, it could be advice on treaty negotiations, or it could be an opinion on the WTO consistency of a law or regulation, or it could be help in dispute settlement, be it WTO or investor state. Now there, users will be able to go online and find the most effective, cost-effective also, legal team to help them. And we are doing this at the moment through law student clinics, pro bono, supervised by professors. But we can also do it by connecting users to law firms or to legal teams made ad hoc for the specific issue. We have a law clinic series here in Geneva. We'll have one next year in India, and we are talking to other countries to expand the series of law clinics we have. Now, we can also help lawyers and legal experts themselves. They often need student researchers to help them. This will lower the cost. They also need expertise that they do not have in-house. Again, the internet, the network of TradeLab can help them here. Now, all of this may sound a bit bold, even a bit crazy, especially coming from a lawyer, but I think that is the sound of innovation. And I really hope it can work. We have teamed up with a legal technology startup, LawGives it is called, and they are based at Stanford University. They are developing the software, and the co-founder is actually here at the TradeLab Innovation Corner. So really, TradeLab is a not-for-profit outfit. It's a public interest NGO. It's certainly not a law firm. It brings together a network of people. And ultimately, what we are trying to do through this network is to bridge the gap between lawyers, law students, and the latent market of ordinary people, businesses, consumers who are affected by trade and investment treaties. Legal innovation is happening, and I think we should use it also in the field of the WTO to increase the pool of people who can benefit from WTO treaties. I invite you to give us feedback, to come and talk to us at the Innovation Corner. You can join as a legal expert by signing up. You can post your questions. But most of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for having us on the stage for a couple of minutes. Thank you so much.